Robopocalypse by Dr. Daniel H. Wilson, 2011. This, in my opinion, is a very underrated book. Even though it was a bestseller in 2011, I don't think it has got the respect it deserves in the science fiction community. So here are my 5 reasons why you should read Robopocalypse. Number 1, Daniel H. Wilson. He's a doctor of robotics. Who better to write AI and robotics in a novel? His expertise shines through, yet it doesn't club us over the head. Reason number 2, this guy, Steven Spielberg, optioned this novel as a movie, even before it was printed. Here are some storyboards for the movie. And some conceptual art. This movie didn't get much farther than the development stage. Steven Spielberg says this movie would cost over $200 million. He's passed on these materials to Michael Bay of Transformers fame. I'm not sure I want to see that movie made. Number 3, this novel reads like a fix-up novel. Each chapter is a short scene or story on its own. You might remember World War Z. It's often compared to that, but in my opinion it's better. I call it a braided plot. We have different protagonists in different locations in alternating chapters. Some are just one-off scenes. Others continue through the whole book and come together like a braid does. The book is broken into 5 parts. Part 1, isolated incidents leading up to the Robopocalypse. Part 2, 0 hour. Part 3, survival. Part 4, awakening. And part 5, retaliation. This is a very satisfying arc. Awakening may not mean what you think it does. Number 4, this novel may have the best military SF chapter I've ever read. In part 4, awakening, there's a chapter, number 3, called The Cowboy Way. One of the plot lines deals with the Osage Nation in Middle America. Their land has very little technology in it. They still practice the Native American ways. This is actually an advantage when the robots rise up. After 0 hour, it takes a number of months before the AI develops robots which will roam the land looking for people. We see the Gray Horse Army arise. We see some of our other braided plot lines coming together in the Osage Nation. Then the land robots arrive. We have, in my opinion, one of the best SF military battle scenes that I've read. And number 5, transhumanism. The big AI, Arcos, has been taking people and putting them into camps. Here, the AI has been experimenting with combining humans and robots. Can Arcos control humans and govern them? We have some transhumans who have escaped, and some of the skills that they have contribute in the battle against Arcos. In particular, you'll remember Matilda, who has eyes that can see what robots are communicating. A number of the braided plot lines come together in the conclusion. Each battle unit and character are important to the conclusion. And it's a satisfying conclusion. I think this is an underrated novel for a couple of reasons. Even though it was a bestseller, I think the name Robopocalypse didn't really convince people that this was a good military SF novel facing AI and robots. I also think this image is not a particularly menacing one. I think it would have been better to have a Gray Horse battle unit on the cover. Let me give you a few quotes from the book and then some suggestions for names instead of Robopocalypse, which is never used in the novel. One quote relating to sentient robots and humans is, "It is not enough to live together in peace with one race on its knees." A second quote, The true knowledge is not in the things, but in finding the connections between the things. Arcos at one point says, "Across the sea of space lies an infinite emptiness. I can feel it, suffocating me. It is without meaning, but each life creates its own reality." One of the soldiers marching towards Arcos says, "I don't think, I react. My action is divorced from all emotion and logic. It isn't human or inhuman, it just is." I believe that choices like these, made in absolute crisis, come from our true selves, bypassing all experience and thought. These kind of choices are the closest thing to fate that human beings will ever experience. Several names I thought of to replace Robopocalypse. 1. Arcos, the name of the antagonist, the super AI. 2. The New War, as it's referred to in the novel. 3. Obsolescence, referring to how humans are now obsolescent in the face of the robot and AI uprising. 4. The name of the squad from Grey Horse, Bright Boy Squad. This would work with a picture of the squad on the cover. I think some of those titles and the image of the Bright Boy Squad would have appealed to more science fiction fans. This here looks too much like a robot from the movie I, Robot with Will Smith. And I think Robopocalypse just doesn't connect. This made-up word really isn't cool. It's cheesy. So, don't let the cover prevent you from reading the book. This was a reread for me, and I think I'll reread it again in the future. I give this very entertaining read a 9 out of 10. So have you read Robopocalypse? What do you think of the story? What do you think of the title and the cover image? Has it prevented you from reading this story? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep reading.